Let me tell you what's really unfolding in Cleveland right now. Because this isn't just another training camp subplot. It's rapidly turning into one of the most volatile, high-stakes quarterback showdowns the Browns have faced in years. The buzz is erupting across social media platforms and dominating sports talk circles. But this isn't mere hype. This is trust meeting tangible transformation. I've been tracking this saga closely. Multiple credible sources, not just your average Twitter chatter, are confirming that something major is brewing inside the Browns' locker room. And at the epicenter of the storm, rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, that same fifth-rounder folks assumed would quietly climb the depth chart. Well, scrap that narrative entirely. What began as a standard position battle has mutated into a full-blown internal power struggle, one that's now threatening to fracture the very chemistry of the team. Let me break it down for you. Sanders is tearing it up. Despite being a late-round selection, he's outperforming the veterans in ways that have left the entire organization rattled. I'm talking accuracy, progression reads, red zone decision-making, footwork. He's exceeding expectations across the board. But it's not just his physical gifts, it's his presence, his meticulous preparation, his confidence, the way he carries himself. It's completely disrupting the quarterback hierarchy. And believe me, the vets, they feel it. Before we go deeper, smash that subscribe button, like the video, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for rocking with us. Now here's where it gets spicy. Dylan Gabriel, the Browns' third-round pick, was supposed to be the guy. A long-term project with a clear runway to eventually lead the franchise. But instead, he's watching Shedeur steal the show, stealing reps, commanding the huddle, quietly taking ownership of the locker room. And from everything I've been hearing, Gabriel is spiraling. Reports say he's been emotionally withdrawn in meetings, avoiding Sanders entirely, skipping voluntary throwing sessions, canceling meetings with his wideouts, and mentally checking out during film reviews. Some within the building say this goes beyond frustration. It's unraveling into a meltdown. One insider described the QB room as radioactive, and the powder keg? It exploded after a recent practice session. Sanders, repping with the third stringers, completed 17 straight passes and threw 3 touchdowns against the starting defense. That's not just a hot streak, that's a declaration of dominance. So what does the offensive coordinator do? He bumps Sanders up to the first team on the spot. Gabriel? He storms off the field, rips off his pads, and vanishes into the facility. Players were left staring at each other like, did that really just happen? And now, the locker room is fractured. Veterans are split. Some are fuming. Why is a rookie getting preferential treatment? But the younger players, they're saying what needs to be said. It's not about draft order anymore, it's about results. And Sanders is delivering. Period. He shows up before sunrise, leaves after sunset, and has internalized the playbook like he's been here for years. Meanwhile, Gabriel's unraveling. Mechanics that once earned praise are now being critiqued relentlessly. The comparisons to Sanders? Downright brutal. I'm hearing he's so insecure now, he's keeping tabs, logging reps, dissecting how coaches speak to each QB, and even monitoring media narratives. Word is, he's compiling everything to build a case of internal bias against him. Let that sink in. Coaches are genuinely concerned about his mental state. They're even discussing bringing in psychological support. Because this isn't just about football anymore. This is about identity collapse. Gabriel came into this offseason thinking he had a future, a vision. Now that vision is slipping like sand through his fingers. Meanwhile, Sanders, he's not feeding the chaos. He's staying locked in, grinding, rising. He's even trying to reach out to Gabriel to bridge the divide. That's rare maturity from a rookie under a magnifying glass. But don't get it twisted. This team is now polarized. Gabriel's got a faction of offensive linemen still riding with him. Sanders, he's won over the receivers and skill guys with his touch, his timing, and his leadership. Even the special team staff is sounding the alarm, warning that social cliques are forming and team unity is crumbling. Players are bailing on bonding events. The defensive unit, publicly neutral but privately, they're saying it. Sanders is the real deal. And now, the national spotlight is here. Sanders' social media engagement is through the roof. The world is watching this drama unfold in real time, and every day, the pressure ratchets up another notch. Listen, I respect Dylan Gabriel. I truly do. He was polished, methodical, supposed to become the guy eventually. The coaching staff in Cleveland is no longer just worried about Dylan Gabriel's throwing mechanics. They're deeply alarmed about his mental state. This isn't a matter of a few off-target passes. It's the unraveling of a young quarterback under intensifying scrutiny. And in response, the Browns' performance specialists are scrambling to contain the damage, rolling out last-minute team-building exercises in a desperate attempt to stabilize the locker room before Week 1. But here's the truth. The divide inside the Browns facility is growing by the day. Two internal factions are solidifying. On one side, you have the Sanders supporters. They're all in. They've seen enough. His lightning-fast processing, fearless improvisation, and undeniable it factor have convinced them he's ready right now. Sources say the offensive coordinator is already constructing tailored packages built to elevate Shedeur's strengths while masking rookie-level rough edges. Even a few veteran receivers, quietly but intentionally, have started requesting more reps with Sanders, despite the political heat that comes with it. Then there's the Gabriel loyalists. They're standing on principle, pointing to the team's third-round investment in Gabriel and emphasizing the importance of a traditional development arc. Their stance? Don't throw the kid into the fire just because Sanders is flashy in camp, but that tug-of-war has turned the building into a pressure cooker. And this isn't just about naming a Week 1 starter anymore. This choice could reshape the future of the franchise. Before we dive deeper, hit subscribe, smash that like button, and let us know your take in the comments. This story is far from over. Now let's talk about reality. Shedeur Sanders brings something Cleveland hasn't had in years: immediate juice. He could finally be the fix for the Browns' notorious slow starts, the kind that bury playoff hopes by mid-season. But with that spark comes instability. The defense, the unit that's carried this team through chaos and inconsistency, is now forced to watch the offense implode from the inside. This quarterback battle, it's no longer about skill sets. It's political, it's emotional, it's personal. Reports say the front office has activated full-scale damage control. They've expanded the team's leadership council, pulling in respected veteran voices from both sides to keep the peace. Practices have been restructured to ensure the competition stays balanced yet intense. And yes, you heard this right, professional team-building consultants are now holding interventions. That's how fractured this has become. Meanwhile, Gabriel is reportedly receiving individualized counseling to navigate this emotional storm. And the signal is loud and clear. The Browns know they're facing a cultural crisis, not just a quarterback competition. This is a gut-check moment for the entire organization. And while the tension boils, Shedeur Sanders stays locked in. No interviews, no drama, just ball. One source inside the facility said it best. He's silencing the noise through execution, but looming behind it all, Gabriel's slow collapse. Not due to lack of talent or work ethic, but because the role he once saw as his destiny is being rewritten in real time. And it's breaking him. Some inside the building believe the team may soon have to formally intervene just to preserve professionalism and team unity. And now, ownership is stepping in. The business side of the organization has fallen in love with Shedeur's off-field impact. Social media numbers are through the roof. Brand appeal, untapped goldmine. He's got crossover charisma, media magnetism, and massive audience potential. Word is, a full-blown marketing plan has already been drafted, positioning Sanders as the new face of the franchise. Gabriel, not even mentioned. Imagine what that must feel like. Fans are speaking with their wallets and voices. Ticket demand is skyrocketing. Sanders' jersey sales are 4x Gabriel's. Open practices, Shedeur steps on the field, the crowd erupts. Gabriel enters, a few polite claps. On social media, Sanders' highlights are pulling 37x the engagement. Local businesses are designing Sanders-themed promotions. Community groups are lining up for appearances. In just a few weeks, a fifth-round pick has become the guy in Cleveland. And with that meteoric rise comes risk. Quarterbacks coaches are now working around the clock, implementing a fast-track mechanics overhaul. Blitz recognition is now part of Shedeur's weekly curriculum. Even the head coach has called for a media blackout to shield him from distractions. But let's be real, accelerating development at this pace is a double-edged sword. The Browns are tiptoeing a tightrope, trying to ride the wave without exhausting their rising star. To their credit, the team isn't abandoning Gabriel. They're still supporting him, still honoring the investment. But around the league, execs are watching. Good luck out there. Now, as training camp heats up, I want to shift the spotlight to how the media narrative continues to frame Shedeur Sanders, and more specifically, how one of the most influential voices in football commentary, Pat McAfee, has shaped that narrative. Let's be honest, in the realm of football media, who carries more weight than Pat McAfee right now? Drop your answers in the comments if you disagree. Is it ESPN, Fox Sports, maybe the Shecky Boys and their college football podcast? They're good, no doubt, but when it comes to reach, numbers, and cultural pull, Pat McAfee is the face of modern football entertainment. And when it comes to Shedeur Sanders, McAfee has remained fairly consistent. Sure, Pat is known for his Ohio State bias, for riding with Will Howard, or even hating on the Indianapolis Colts, specifically AR-15. But when it comes to Coach Prime and Shedeur, Pat's been surprisingly objective. So let's walk through the timeline. Let's examine the Shedeur-McAfee media journey and see how it's evolved. We'll start at Radio Row during the Super Bowl, February 7th, where Pat and Shedeur had their first official on-camera interaction. Then we'll rewind all the way to September the 4th, 2023, when Deion Sanders had just taken the reins at Colorado and first began discussing Shedeur's potential. Since then, we've seen a series of reactions, from Dan Orlovsky, Field Yates, Ian Rappaport, and others, some praising, others doubting. But what stands out most is how Pat McAfee defended Shedeur Sanders when the narrative began to shift, especially when Peter Schrager tried to reshape public perception. So this video is going to be more laid back. We're just vibing, watching clips, analyzing moments, and breaking it down piece by piece. Appreciate your rocking with it. Big fan. How you feeling? Good. You've got heart. I respect that. You're a dog. Keep grinding. You're changing the game, man. You're going to be legendary. Just remember, it wasn't just Colorado you changed. Don't forget the HBCU you transformed too. That last line hits different. Now let me talk my talk for a second. I've been watching Pat since the pandemic era, back when his show first blew up. To now see Pat McAfee, the self-made sports media mogul, stand face-to-face with Shedeur Sanders, a young quarterback who's had to navigate hate, politics, and skepticism, that moment hit. Both of these men marched to the beat of their own drum, and that mutual recognition was powerful. Notice what Pat emphasized? Toughness. In all the critiques about his chains, tweets, or even his personal draft room setup, no one wanted to acknowledge the real story. Shedeur took more sacks than anyone in the FBS. He endured constant hits and never once blamed his teammates. People always bring up one clip, the Nebraska game, and claim he threw someone under the bus. One clip, and it's already been debunked. So tell me, where's the second example? You can't find one, because it doesn't exist. Meanwhile, here's Pat McAfee telling him to his face, "You're a culture changer. You've shifted the atmosphere not just once, but twice." Now look at how Pat talks about Coach Prime and Shedeur on his show. After a game where Shedeur threw for 500-plus yards, he said it himself. This was legendary. That was the best performance of his life, and he said it himself in the post-game interview. Just a kid from an HBCU putting up numbers like that? He was phenomenal. And let's not forget, after transferring to Colorado, Shedeur was briefly considered a Heisman sleeper, even as old-school media dismissed his chances. Pat reminded everyone that regardless of the school, Shedeur Sanders is Dillon's son, a young man who's been raised in greatness, trained in fire, and built to lead. He's surgical, absolutely surgical. Shedeur's been diagnosing defenses and audibling at the line since he was 6 years old. That's not an exaggeration. According to Coach Prime, the first thing he ever taught his son was how to dissect coverages. The kid played both sides of the ball and developed a football mind well beyond his years. But let me pause right there, because Dillon Sanders might be the greatest natural promoter in sports history. Some folks, I won't say who, like to dismiss his comments as over-the-top hype or a flashy sales pitch. But let's call it what it is. He's got charisma, conviction, and he knows exactly how to frame greatness. 6 years old, calling his own plays? Could it be true? Yeah. And even if it's exaggerated, that's prime time. Only Dillon could take a basic post-game question. When did you know your son was special? And flip it into a mythical origin story. The man said, he's been elite since he came out the womb. That's some Talladega Nights next-level storytelling. You've got to respect it, not just for the flair, but for how he elevates everyone around him. Thank you, you guys. See you.